play. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, IVM Podcast proudly brings to you the best cricket podcast in the world with CEO Sir Varun Garg and CEO Sir Ashwin Garg. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, and I'll be your host for this week. This is DJ Chuck. The IPL is over. We've made it through eight weeks, 12 weeks, 24 weeks. I can't remember when this
Felt like
started.
2 or 3 years, man, this time.
Yeah, guys, we're live on Facebook. We're doing the IPL finale episode. Ashwin, I'll come to you first. How are you doing, man? How did you like that intro, by the way,
I
with the
was confused
WWF
for a
theme?
second because they did the countdown and you said play, and I said, what is he saying? And then I realized this was supposed to be an IPL throwback. So, in hindsight, kudos for those of our listeners and viewers who were slow about it like me. Then hopefully now the explanation makes sense. But great, man, good to be here. Glad the IPL's done. A little disappointed in the quality of the actual final, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. But hey, congratulations to any Gujarat fans and of course Hardik Pandya. Unbelievable finish to the season.
Yeah, what a win for the Gujarat team, who I realized were playing at home as well, with 100,000 people packed into the Narendra Modi Stadium. Varun?
I have a philosophical existential question for Varun. Maybe does it count as home stadium if you've never ever played there before? This
Wow,
team has
what a way
never
to
played
say my
there before.
first words on this week's podcast.
Good afternoon, CEO, sir.
It's like 11 p.m. at night getting these questions.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it was a good question. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of expecting Akshar Patel to come out there and just take 7 wickets in the Ahmedabad pitch like he usually does, business as usual. But I mean, it was great. It was the Narendra Modi Stadium. Amit Shah was there. Jay Shah was there. Gujarat Titans were playing. I mean, what else did you want? I mean, I think at one point if I'm not mistaken, there's an Ambani end, there's an Adani end. So it was all just kind of happening there for the Gujarat Titans. But clearly, jokes aside, dominated not only the tournament, but dominated the final. I think only Mumbai Indians have been top of the table and won the tournament before. Otherwise, number one on the table has never won, except for one time, I believe. So great stat there.
Yeah, good knowledge. It's been an incredible kind of 10 weeks for us, right? Ashwin has done a solo episode. Varun has done it with COVID. I found out last week that I had heat stroke while I was recording the episode, which is great as well. So, like the players and the fans, we've put in our shift as well as podcast covering the IPL. Commitment right there for you. But we are a podcast that covers cricket. So, other than the WWF throwback that we went with, which I've actually wanted to do, it's been 228 episodes and we've never actually introduced ourselves. Ashwin, talk us through the first game of the playoffs, which was between the Rajasthan Royals and the Gujarat Titans. Pretty high scoring game, right? Um, so it was a repeat of the final, of course, as we found out later. But tell us about this first game. And of course, the Gujarat Titans were top of the table, Rajasthan Royals were second. So let's talk through the games quickly before we come to the fun part of the show, which is the Bakwaskar Awards and other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like you said, a repeat. If the top two teams get to meet in the first, I guess it's called a qualifier, and then obviously Gujarat made it straight through. Rajasthan had to go around RCB to get there, and then made the finals, and Gujarat won again. I think it's pretty unequivocal that Gujarat was the best side in this tournament. And again, we can talk more about that later. But Gujarat had to defend their number one spot. Remember, for most of this tournament, we thought Lucknow would find their way into that number two spot. So kudos to Rajasthan for making it here. Rajasthan got put into bed. I think it was interesting to see Samson, who I would love to give a shout out to for his leadership. You know, he will get overshadowed by Hardik, but gosh, unbelievable the way he stepped up and the way he, despite losing a lot of tosses. Remember early in the season, they were the only team, Rajasthan was the only team to win a lot batting first. And so full credit to Samson. Although he didn't have his best season with the bat, he stepped up as a captain. And yeah, Rajasthan got put into bat. I mean, it was a very similar story to what we've seen before. Butler dug his heels in, stayed for a while, ended up hitting big near the end, made 89 off just 56 balls. Samson and Padikkal, ably sort of supported him. Samson just missed out on a half century, but 188. So nothing really much for the Gujarat bowlers to write home about. What was interesting to me is Shami went for a lot of runs. Yash Dayal went for a lot of runs. Sai Kishore went for a lot of runs. And Hardik bowled 2 overs. And I say that because as we get to the final, we know what an impact he ended up having with the ball. But it was interesting to see him start to start to bowl a little more at this stage. And yeah, just when you thought, what a dream start defending 188 to come out and Trent Bolt to get a pretty typical Trent Bolt wicket, getting the batsman caught behind in the second ball of the match with Saha, who's looked in great nick, going at 0 for 1. But then, as Gujarat's kind of top and middle order have done, Gill made 35, Wade made 35, and then the guy who's had a resurgence this season, David Miller, took them over the line. So remember, David Miller didn't get picked up, I think, in the first round of the auction this year. And he was, standing and holding the trophy yesterday. So Gujarat kind of made it look easy, won with 3 balls to spare and worked their way straight to the finals.
Varun, talk me through those 3 sixes by Killer Miller. He's had an incredible season, right? I mean, he's been their second highest run scorer, batting at number 5, which tells a big story with the Gujarat Titans generally, with Pandya batting 4 and being their top run scorer.
Yeah, we've said it before on this podcast. Long tournaments are won by your number 5, 6, 7. And Miller just proved that exactly. It was also great that I think the last time he did something big was probably 8 years back, in a 2013-2014 season. So since then, if you look at his stats, it's been a very average season, and I don't think he's played every game either. So what he did there for Gujarat has been excellent throughout this tournament. I mean, the other way to even think about it is like he and Tewatia won them a couple of matches, right? Tewatia hasn't even batted in the last few games for Gujarat Titans. So that's how good Miller has been. And for me, it was just like Pandya taking that back seat in the first qualifier and letting Miller just finish it off in style. It was really good. And you could see when they hugged at the end. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was just like this self-belief that, we've been working towards. And it's odd, guys. This is a new team. These two, Hardik Pandya and Miller, probably have never spent time together before. So for them to come out and build that kind of a bond, I think that is what is worth writing home about as part of this Gujarat Titans story.
Absolutely. And maybe Gary Kirsten, coach of this team, had something to do with that. He's South African, of course, has won the World Cup with India in 2011. So I guess the next tournament he coached in India was also a victory for Gary Kirsten. So maybe
But
he's got
just
the
as we
golden
talk
touch.
about their leadership and their backroom stuff, you guys remember what my fantasy team name is, right? Anybody?
Yeah. Nehra fans. I mean, Nehra
Number one
himself.
Nehra
Thank
fan.
you very much.
Apparently, is he the first Indian coach to ever win an IPL?
I don't think he's actually the coach technically, right? He's the
He's
is
the
he the coach?
motivational speaker.
He's got I don't know what his role is in the franchise. So
Now, he must be bowling
Yeah.
coach. Surely he must be bowling
yeah,
coach.
yeah.
I mean,
I think he's more than bowling coach, but yeah.
There was so much stuff, right? Like he said, I don't believe in the data. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy. That's become a big source of question marks. Anyway,
It
Ashish
says
Nehra
it says his title is head coach.
Oh, okay, so he is.
Oh,
head
And,
coach. That's
and
my
so
mistake.
and, yeah, and so that's why I was saying that I think he's the first Indian head coach
Which is
to
unbelievable.
ever win an IPL, like, which is crazy.
so
if you
what
think
is
about it.
Gary
Well,
Kirsten's title?
I think
is this
Gujarat
like
Titans mentor.
But in honor of
Interesting.
this win, then Varun, for our listeners, will you commit on air once to imitating Ashish Nehra's action on video?
I
You
mean,
don't
I
have to do
could,
it
but
right
yeah.
now, but at some point you must. We'll start
Fine,
a
I'll do it
TikTok.
at some point.
Speaking of titles, by the way, now that we worked out Nehraji's title, people have asked how we've decided Varun is the CEO, Ashwin is the COO, and I'm the podcast PA. So I'm going to let you guys answer that in due course.
I mean, DJ came up with those titles, but yeah.
Okay. Fine. There Amit says, who decided the title?
Decided.
Okay. I mean, that was only the job half done, right? With the Gujarat Titans they went from playing on Tuesday straight to a seat in the final on Sunday. So that gives them a nice long break to decompress, relax. Whereas Rajasthan had to play the winner of the Eliminator.
So the one shout out I didn't give that I will again is Rashid Khan, no wickets, but 4 overs for 15. And he obviously, we're going to talk about the batsman, we always do, but let's just remember that spell because he was a critical part of the rest of the campaign. So.
Yeah, and he had a great playoffs generally, which we'll come to. But the Eliminator, Ashwin, talk me through this innings by Rajat Patidar.
Do you,
112 not out of 54.
I mean, just imagine. We talk a lot on this show about India's batting depth, or I guess at this point, just cricket depth in general, right? So many quick bowlers from Mohsin Khan and now you have players like Rajat Patidar showing up. I don't think got picked up in an auction, in an early stage auction. Ended up cementing his place as the RCB number 3. This is a team with Kohli, Faf, Maxwell, and DK, and he cemented his spot over the course of the season. And yeah, I mean, Faf got out. Was it first over again? Kohli didn't do much, made 25. Nobody else made much, but RCB is sitting here on 207, all behind the back on the back of 112 or 54 balls by Rajat Patidar. Like, he just looked like he belonged. The big stage was for him. He was relishing every moment of it. He was, when every other batsman was struggling, Maxwell couldn't get past a run a ball, Lomror couldn't bat well, every other batsman was struggling. He was just, the commentator's cliche, batting on a different pitch. And that's what it looked like. He just hit some magnificent sixes, I think 7 sixes in his innings, some absolutely gorgeous boundaries. So hopefully he has a future in the Indian setup. We say that about a lot of kids, so it's going to be hard to get them all in. But yeah, I mean, not a lot else to say. Got his team to 207, a phenomenal knock by the captain. I'll let one of you guys talk about Rahul's innings and how much criticism he's gotten for it, but nobody stood up for the Lucknow team except Rahul and maybe to an extent Huda, and they ended up falling, call it 14 runs short. Credit to Josh Hazelwood for picking up 3 and getting the RCB team one more shot at the finals.
Yeah. But I want to ask you 2 things. One, LSG dropped Patidar, I can think of at least 4 times. They dropped DK once. And in the end, they only lost by 14 runs. And I think they scored like 90 plus runs in the last 5 overs, which is an insane number of runs to have to chase down as well. And they only lost by 14 runs. So, I mean, we'll come to the Rahul innings, but where do you place that bowling performance and fielding performance? I mean, even Huda, they're hitting straight down his throat, and he's a safe fielder. You never see him dropping anything. Everything just seemed to go down for those guys on the day.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, man. You've made it in your first year to the top 4. You missed out that top 2 position, so you know what you're up against in this match. It's called the Eliminator, and then to not hold on to your catches. I mean, I think the way IPL has gone, I'm pretty sure average of 1 drop catch per match is probably acceptable, but 5, 6, it's just not. I mean, even Rahul's drop at the end, you saw Gautam Gambhir's reaction to that, right? It was like the ball had gone in and then out of his hands, and the agony on Gambhir's face, because like you said, at the end they lost only by 14 runs. So it cost them dearly. I'd love to talk about the Rahul part also, because he came out there at the end and said that we lost because of the catches. So no doubt that played a big part. But let's talk a little bit about Rahul's innings as well. I usually do criticize him, and I think this time 79 going at a strike rate of 136, I think his only fault is that he should have finished it. I think that's the only thing I can think of. Like in a match where you've lost your opening batsman early, it's always going to be tough. Now, I think there were 2 issues. One is you've brought Manan Vora in to this side. Maybe he's played 1 match before, not notable enough for me to remember. And suddenly he's batting at number 3. You gave Deepak Huda the position of number 3. You then brought Ayush Badani for 1 match. It didn't work. Then you gave it back to Deepak Huda. Now in the Eliminator, you brought Manan Vora. I think Sehwag said this. I don't know if you guys remember. There was some bowler he brought on once. I can't remember the name in a very important match like this.
Sunny Gupta,
yeah. And
dude, why did I remember that?
That's too much. But
by the way, when you Google Sunny Gupta, it's some CEO in some California
in the sunny California.
Like it's not even the cricketers the first link that shows up.
Yeah,
but he
Sunny
dropped,
Gupta, California.
He dropped. It was 2012. He dropped Morkel to bring in Sunny Gupta in the qualifier.
Like, how idiotic do you have to be? And he's like, nobody had seen Sunny Gupta. Well, yeah, because he was off being CEO in the
there's a reason nobody had seen
So you've pulled him out of his board meeting to bring him out to the bowl for the qualifiers.
No one has seen Varun Garg either. He's also CEO. Can bring him on as well. Should be playing for Delhi in the qualifiers.
Seriously, man. But I just didn't understand that Manan Vora thing. And then I think, again, it's easy to say this in hindsight, but I think Deepak Huda's forced shot Um, and the way he got out was happening because KL wasn't accelerating, right? So you can't fault him, but you can't also ignore that this just keeps happening with KL Rahul. And there is like I think somebody from the BCCI, the selector, said that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on him in this upcoming series against South Africa, where he's actually captaining the team. But while I don't blame him, I also can't ignore that this happens too often. Let me leave it at that.
There's some great comments coming in, by the way, live. Ashwin, I don't know if you've seen the one where I think Amit has said that KL is the equivalent of a Ferrari that bats that was happy being a Toyota. I mean, Toyota is pretty good. I mean, in Delhi heat particularly, I'm pretty sure the Toyota AC is going to do better than the Ferrari AC. But yeah, that's a pretty funny comment, I felt.
Yeah,
But
there
yeah,
are some great ones. Yeah.
yeah, there are some pretty good ones. So we'll keep an eye on those. So keep sending those in, guys. With that, of course, LSG went out. So the guys I was backing to take the title had gone out. So I had said that LSG would lift the title despite being part of the eliminator. RCB went in. King Kohli still had a chance of getting his hands on that elusive IPL trophy. So RCB fans, of course, very happy. Then, with the losing team, the Rajasthan Royals, and the winning team, RCB, they met. I think this was at Kolkata, or maybe they'd gone to Ahmedabad by now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they were in
Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad.
They'd gone to Ahmedabad by now. So they'd gone to the Narendra Modi Stadium, 100,000 capacity. This was another, I mean, King went early. I think they were 9 for 1. Patidar scored a few runs. Maxwell hit a few. But I think the Rajasthan Royals bowled really, really well to restrict the scoring. And then, as Josh Butler does, I'm not sure there was much to say about this game other than Josh Butler came out and just did Josh Butler things, and he scores 100 in a chase of what, it was 160 odd or something like that. It wasn't very much, was it? Um, and yeah, that game was done. RCB fans all over the world had broken hearts. Um, Varun, maybe I'll come to you this on this quickly. As an RCB fan, would you be happy with that performance for this season? Losing kind of the playoff two to go out.
I mean, 3 4 years ago, I probably would have said yes. Now I'm going to say no because they make the playoffs 4 years in a row.
Oh
They've
wow, they
actually
have.
been the most consistent team. Um,
Ah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure Mumbai made it also many 4 years plus in a row, but I'm just saying they're probably one of the most consistent teams in the last 5 years. Let's put it that way. And to keep losing in these eliminator and knockout um, matches is just it's hard, man. It's hard to watch. And every year that they come back, their team just gets better, right? So the bowling has always been weak. The middle order has always been weak. You've got Maxwell there. Now you've got Hazelwood. You've got Hasranga. You've got Harshal Patel. Remember, these are all guys they bid for. They didn't retain. You had a captaincy issue. You got a great captain in FAF, right? An international captain. Your number 3 was weak. Patidar is doing well. So I just can't understand what the issue is. How can I not mention Dinesh Karthik, right? A finisher
Oh
who needs to
yeah.
strike at 200. You had all the makings. You had guys going for the runs up front. You had hitters at 200 strike rate. You had Hasranga type guys who were in the running for the most wickets or the purple cap, if I'm purple or
Yeah,
orange
purple
cap,
cap.
whichever,
Purple
purple
cap.
cap. And it still doesn't work. So I put it down to probably they're just not good at these eliminator games, like Delhi, actually. But even when you think of the previous RCB game, it was basically Rajat. That was it. When you think of this game again, it was only Rajat. So one guy trying to carry you through is not going to be easy.
Ashwin, Hasaranga had some questions around him before he played for the RCB. How good was he this season? Because I remember we did our preview and we got a question saying why has RCB picked Hasaranga? And we all thought he was a great pick. He can bat, he can bowl brilliantly, and he's fantastic in the field. I mean, he saves a ton of runs in the field as well. So for you, was he the pick of the RCB players this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there, right? As you think about the fact that Chahal ended up winning the actual purple cap, but by 1 wicket, and that happened in the final, right? So arguably he got one extra game. So Hasaranga is sitting there one game less than Chahal with 26 wickets. I mean, I don't remember the last time the spinner took 26 wickets in an IPL, let alone being still falling short to Chahal. But unbelievable as you think of.
Do Harshal and Bravo qualify as
I don't
spinners because
think
they
Bravo.
mainly bowl off spin?
They basically bowl off breaks. But yeah, and exceptional pick, right? And I agree with Varun. On paper, the side has been phenomenal. I think it's also, as you start thinking about all the blame Kohli shouldered for not being a captain that could take them through, like what blame does Faf have to shoulder here for not getting them through the big match? So sometimes it's about the franchise, sometimes it's about history. You have to believe that walking out on the field in a match, one match away from the final, they the weight of history for RCB, to Varun's point, they've gotten so close so many times and never been able to do it. It had to play on them, and then and there's an element of pressure that comes from arguably making the playoffs just because Delhi lost, right? Like all the hype in the prior week was they didn't need, like, they didn't do enough on their own to qualify. They needed another result to go their way, and that's sport, and that happens. But there's an element of potentially pressure that comes with all that. That just, I don't think on paper they're a worse side than Rajasthan. They just didn't have what it takes to cross the finish line.
And they got bossed by Joss. So
Of course, yeah.
any it could happen to anyone on any given day. When he gets on the roll and he bats like that, there's nothing you can do. Then you won't be able to defend anything. They just weren't good enough on the night. And I mean, the thing about RCB making it to the final, I know there were people saying that, oh, I'd rather not make it to the final that way. It makes no difference. If you play, it was just that Delhi played the last game. RCB did what they needed to do. That's it. I mean, like if Delhi had lost and RCB had won later, the result would have been exactly the same. So I don't buy this like, oh, they made it because Delhi messed up. Yes, Delhi didn't win and didn't go through, but RCB had already done what it needed to do. If they hadn't cruised that chase with Kohli scoring the 70 odd that he did, they wouldn't have been in a position to make it to the playoffs. So I don't buy that argument at all. RCB did whatever they had to do. You have to do what you need to do and then hope things go your way. So no issues with that for me. Delhi did not do that and did not deserve to be in the final, and that's just sport.
Yeah, and just for the record, I'm not saying I don't think they were deserving. I'm saying there's probably an
Yeah.
element of pressure that weighs on them
Yeah, yeah.
just sneaking into the playoffs versus the top two teams who had probably had a lot more confidence walking out there. That's the difference.
Yeah, possibly. I was actually alluding to one of the tweets that came from one of the team owners, and we know which team owner made that tweet. So let's move on. Let's move on. The big final, guys. The 29th of May rolled around. The Narendra Modi Stadium, the home stadium for the top team of the IPL league phase, was ready to play host to its boys. Varun, I'm gonna ask you about this. Um, RR, right? Like all the chat was they've won the tournament once. They were the only ones that had won the tournament before that were in the playoffs. There was the fairy tale kind of like let's do it for Warney chat, which would have been incredible. Of course, Shane Warne, the great, who passed away earlier this year. He was the first Royal, let's call him that, being the first captain of the Rajasthan Royals, team owner, coach, and mentor in later years. And so there was that emotional element, and maybe there was that emotional pressure on the Rajasthan guys as well, a little bit. But coming to the cricket itself, they got away to a really decent start with Jaiswal and Butler, right? What happened? They were 45 for one at one stage in 5-6 overs. It was going pretty well to start off with.
Yeah, it was actually. It felt like they were reading the pitch well. Jaiswal was going at almost 140 strike rate. They kind of did the hard work because DJ, you sent an article that spoke about Gujarat in the power plays, and they've been by far the best, right? So they did a lot of that hard work. They were almost 60 odd, 50 odd at 50 odd at the end of the power play. And so I think they did a lot of that hard work, but then just felt like something happened to the pitch. Suddenly the ball was not coming onto the bat that well. You could see Butler almost frustrated. Samson, man, there's just too much debate going on about this guy. I don't doubt at all that he scored like over 400 or 450 runs at a strike rate close to 147. It is great. It's probably what is needed. India needs that as well. But man, oh man, can anyone be as frustrating as Sanju Samson? The way he gets out is just I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know if either of you have a thought about that Sanju Samson debate, because he goes from ball one. It's important for the team, but then at number three, when you get out like that, I find it hard to digest.
Ashwin, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think I agree with Varun for the most part. Like, it's the numbers are a very important, and I know I'm usually the guy who goes back to the numbers, but I 100% agree. As the captain, there's a different type of role you're supposed to play. And again, you can argue the other side of that coin is KL Rahul, who's overprotective of his wicket and doesn't do enough to score quickly and all that. But for me, Samson, just he's still playing like when he was 21, 22 years old to some extent, and that maturity that comes with growing up as cricketers, especially when you have the Butlers, especially when you have the Padikals and Jaiswals and stuff who have to play different roles. There's an element of, I think Varun said right, it's just frustrating to see him get out because he's got so much talent and so much potential. And again, his total number of runs wasn't bad, but actually there's an interesting comment that just came in that he has a pattern in his dismissals, often a rash shot lead to a brilliant six. So as you think about that, I think that the six and out type mentality, or it's just a little bit of immaturity, which for you to play at the international at the highest level of the game, you need that. Again, full credit to him as a skipper. He stepped up really well. He found a solution to their fifth bowling issue, which plagued them all through the tournament by bringing in Obed McCoy. And so he did some smart things, but as a batsman, just not enough.
Yeah, and the RR innings just kind of stagnated halfway through. That they just didn't get a move on. I mean, they had Hetmeyer. He got out to Hardik Pandya. Let's talk about the Gujarat bowling as well, right? I mean, like they've got Shami, of course. They've got Yashdhul. They've got Hardik Pandya. But in a final, Hardik Pandya really came to the party, didn't he? I mean, Varun, we've talked about this guy, Hardik. He's had fitness issues, he's had discipline issues, he's had. I mean, we've talked about his rash batting from time to time. We talked about him changing from a hitter into an anchor and whether that was good for his team. But on the night of the final, it was the Gujarat Titans skipper that was magnificent. So talk to me about this 3 of 17 that Hardik Pandya produced.
I actually wanted to stop you and you said on the night of the final, because I was going to jump in and say, "Wo karke aaya."
Yeah, that's what he went home and said.
Wo karke aaya. He just did it, man. Like, for all the shit that he puts up with, he just showed up on the day when it mattered the most. And we've all been hard on him in the past. We've all said he needs to work on stuff. He, I think, acknowledges it. But when Hardik Pandya can bowl 4 overs and bat at number 4, 5, or 6, I mean, there's no comparison, right? Like KL Rahul has said it a few years back that he's the only guy in the team who doesn't have any competition. So when he plays the way he's played in this final, I mean, there's zero doubt about anything to do with this guy.
Talk
And
to me
he
about
bowled
his
better than
batting as
Rashid.
well.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
firstly, he's bowling. He bowled better than Rashid Khan in the final. Okay, that's saying a lot. And you could
that's
say,
insane.
oh, he took up junk wickets. Okay, his economy rate was better
His,
than
his
Rashid
junk
Khan.
wickets were Joss Butler
I
and
know. That's what
Shemron
I'm saying.
Hetmeyer and Sanju Samson. I mean,
Yeah.
give me
So
that
he
junk any
turned.
day.
Yeah, he turned the game around completely. And talk about his batting. I mean, coming in at number 4, not an easy position. Like you said, both captains had different approach, right? Sanju Samson comes in and wants to go from ball 1. Surprisingly, doesn't have that much behind him in terms of batting lineup. And Hardik Pandya has, I would say, a stronger middle order than Sanju Samson, but still just plays that anchor role. So played according to the situation. He's a guy who said, I think he's played 5 finals and won 5 finals. So he knows how to absorb that pressure. He's been in the situation before. And his role just changed. He's no longer coming in to bat with Pollard and hit those huge sixes. He's actually coming in to make Miller and Tewatia and all those guys confident to hit the sixes. So fantastic, man. I never thought I'd be sitting here saying Hardik Pandya is one of the best IPL captains I've seen. Really, I did not think that.
I'll give you a stat to kind of back up the difference between Rajasthan and Gujarat this season. Rajasthan obviously had the top run scorer this season in Joss Butler, 863, higher than anybody else. But then their next highest run scorer was at number 9 in Sanju Samson, and then really nobody else did in the top 15. Gujarat didn't have any of the run scorers in the top three, but they had number 4 in Hardik Pandya, number 5 in Shubman Gill, number 6 in David Miller. So that just shows you, Varun, you've talked a lot about the importance of the middle and lower order to win seasons. I mean, if Pandya, Gill, and Miller are all in the top 6 run scorers, that's the difference between a team effort and an individual effort. Right there.
Yeah, and talk about long tournament. It feels like this started in February and it's now June by the time some of our listeners will get to this episode, right? Like it's a long it's over 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with Hardik scoring all these runs, I mean, the team started off looking pretty lopsided. Let's be clear. No one in their right mind gave these guys a shot. No one. Like I remember saying,
none of us.
not only none of us,
none
none
of the
of the
pundits,
experts,
none of the
no
experts,
one.
nobody.
Yeah,
did.
it was just a team of has-beens or have-beens, whatever the right.
Has been, but you have to give credit to CVC who own these guys. They paid 30 crores for 2 people, one of which took 3 for 18 in the final, and the other guy took 1 for 18 in the final. And you're just like, that's 4 for 36 in 8 overs. You'll win most games if 2 of your bowlers do that. Plus, one of them is actually been mostly a batsman. The other guy hit 2 sixes and 2 balls to win them a game. Rashid Khan, if you remember. They've just had an incredible season. Everything they have touched has just turned to gold. It's just been absolutely outstanding. Of course, the chase was only 130. They lost Saha early. They lost Wade early. But Shubman Gill just came out, cruised the chase. And you would have thought Shubman Gill, like you would have thought he'd be one for the orange cap, but he was just consistent. He had a fantastic season, but nothing like a Butler's where he carried the team. He didn't need to carry the team. He had the Pandyas and the Millers and the other guys in the team to just like bat later on the Tewatias who scored more than 2 runs per ball. So and didn't even bowl very well. So I don't know. It's such a weird like combination that has just
let-
worked.
Let's take a break and come back and think about an analyst who was probably at their desk at CVC and who spat out this team as the best potential auction and how it worked.
Based on an Excel spreadsheet, and that guy is going to get a big bonus this year. It's going to be good. Anyway,
Hello. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cyrus Says It's Cock and Bull, Cyrus Nivedita Tony and Antrix discuss the new IVM merch, which you should definitely go check out on our website, ivmpodcast.com. You can click the shop tab and that will take you to our partner Grow91. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff there, which you should definitely check out. But besides the IVM merchandise, they also discuss thieves who perform puja before looting gold and cash worth rupees 34 lakhs in Kerala. Also, we would like to let you know about something we're very proud of. We've started this new podcast called the Vox Podcast in association with MMA India. It's about all things audio. Karthik Nagarajan, who also hosts the Filter Coffee podcast with us, talks to Anil Vishwanathan. He's the Senior Marketing Director at Mondelez India, and they discuss the innovative use of voice and audio. Speaking of Karthik Nagarajan, on the Filter Coffee podcast, Virali Modi tells Karthik what it's like being disabled in India. The Simplified Gang dive into the manure pile to explore how much our country spends on fertilizer. On All Things Policy, the Takshashila folk analyze the policy implications of the 5th National Family Health Survey report. And on Say No to Drama, Chitna asks us to realign the stories we've been telling ourselves. So as I mentioned earlier, we've got some exciting news for you. IVM Podcast has launched merchandise and our first line is out now. Head to the IVM Podcast website and click on the shop tab and check out the first collection of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media as well. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, wherever you do that, that is really helpful for us. And do remember, you can also check a lot of our shows out on YouTube. If you go to ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, you get a list of all of our channels. We're also doing a small listener survey, so please do help us out with that. If you go to ivmpodcast.com/survey, it'll help us understand a little bit more about our listeners. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance, Jupiter, a digital banking app, and Capgemini. Get the future you want. Thank you so much. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible.
welcome back from that break, and you are still listening to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, live wrapping the IPL finale. So we've talked about the winners, we've talked about Pandya, we've talked about Butler, but now the much awaited, by popular demand, Bhakwaskar Awards are back on the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. For those of you who've been following Edges and Sledges for a while, we used to do these, then we got very politically correct. But this year we've said, what the hell? We may as well just do it. It's a little
Did,
bit of
did,
fun.
did we get politically correct?
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
were just worried that we might have the man who these awards are named after on the show someday, and now we've realized we probably won't. So it's fine.
Yeah, so they're not who, I don't know who they're named after. There's a Bakwaskar Award.
Unclear.
It's completely unrelated and unclear. So, guys, do have take this with a pinch of salt. It's a little bit of fun. None of these brands that we're going to mention are sponsors of the show, have anything to do with them. It's just a little bit of fun, and of course, if it's IPL, you've got to talk about the multiple awards, because without that, where would we be? So, the first award of the season on the Rishabh Pant show must be the Dhoni Review System of the Year award, and that goes to Rishabh Pant. Ashwin, can you tell us why there are no other nominees for this award and why our boy Rishabh Pant wins this award?
I mean, do we need to explain any of our listeners who watched what ended up being Delhi's final game? I think it's very clear, right? Like, Pant has had issues with umpiring through the tournament. It feels like, to Varun's point, 6 months ago that he was signaling the team to come off the field because of that no ball that didn't get reviewed when Robman Powell hit 3 sixes in a row when we needed, a six of every ball to win the match. So upset about umpiring signaling it off. And then you have the most blatant of calls to review in a must-win game to qualify for the qualifiers with 2 reviews left and only like 25, 30 balls left in the match. And he just said, "No, I'll save my reviews for later."
Yeah.
Of course, then two
All three.
overs later. Yeah, then 2 overs later, reviewed the most egregious call ever. So I think it's we love the guy, but it's a pretty much a no-brainer that Rishabh Pant is the winner of the Dhoni Review System of the Year award.
Also, throwback to Dhoni walking onto the field and fighting with the umpires, which is why he gets the mention in the name of the award. So, the first Bakwaskar award has been awarded.
I
to
actually
our
don't
boy,
think I know
Rishabh.
what DRS stands for. I just call it Dhoni Review System. I don't know what the full form
In
is. But anyway.
Pant's case, dummy review system. That'd be pretty good. But anyway, let's not get carried away. Of course, this year we had a lot of good Yadavs in the team. So one of the awards that we've got is the best Yadav of the year. Varun, I'm going to let you talk through this one. Is it Lalit? Is it Kuldeep? Or is it Umesh? Which Yadav gets the best Yadav of the year?
So you just eliminated Sky from the
Oh, but he got injured, so he hardly did anything.
He still played a couple of decent.
He eliminated himself.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, so because this is Bakwaskar Awards, I think I'm gonna have to give it to Lalit, right? Like for doing nothing the entire series. I think Lalit definitely gets the best Yadav of the Year award from my side.
Lalit played 1 innings, which was pretty good. Right at the start against Mumbai, which shocked us.
Yeah.
And so I think he gets the best Yadav Bakwaskar award of the year.
To average of 23 and a strike rate of 110.2. That's pretty good. That's pretty terrible last season.
That's pretty bad.
Yes. So
strike rate of 110.
So that gets the Bakwaskar award of the season, clearly. I mean,
and
Kuldeep had a pretty good season. And Umesh bowled pretty well as well.
That's why, because it is the Bakwaskar award. No, but sorry, I'm going to bring in a serious topic in the middle of this. But 24 at 110 is considered Bakwaskar, but 28 at 146 is considered, wow, what a player, right? Sanju Samson. So it's interesting. That's the strike rate debate. Anyway, let's not get into that more right now.
Okay, speaking of strike rate, we're going to jump ahead to another award of the year. The best Rahul of the year Bakwaskar award. Which is the best Rahul that we have? Is it
Naam
KL?
to Sunai Yoga award?
Is it Tewatia? Is it the Naam to Suna Hi Hoga award or the Pani Khatam Ho Jayega award?
What is Pani? When is Pani Khatam Ho Jayega?
There was an ad where it was like Rahul Pani Khatam Ho Jayega.
What? It's too obscure, man.
That's too obscure.
So the question was for me,
Yeah.
Best Rahul of the year, and you
Is
offered
or
me.
no, the Bakwaskar Rahul of the Year award.
Okay, because you offered me KL and Tewatia,
Are there
and I want.
others that I'm
Uh,
missing?
so
Cheher?
best of best Rahul, not Bakwaskar. I want to give to Tripathi,
Oh
who
wow.
carried his team.
Tripathi. I'd forgotten.
Wow.
He was
Who
a
really carried his team. But the Bakwaskar Rahul actually goes to Cheher.
Cheher.
I can't remember
What are his stats?
anything. I'm just looking for them while we talk, but I can't
Did
remember
he get
anything
hit
of
for like
note.
There are
100
like
runs in 1 over by an uncapped player?
there are 4 Rahuls and 4 Yadavs, man. What are the odds of that?
Is there a Rahul Yadav somewhere?
I
in the
was
circuit? That's the
I'm just- Rahul Yadav, he's an Indian entrepreneur.
in California.
In California.
He's best friends with Sari Gupta.
Yeah, he is funny. Funny
Um,
G.
Rahul Chahar played 13 matches. He actually picked up 14 wickets. Economy rate of 7.7. So I guess it wasn't great, but I think when Punjab picked him, they were expecting a lot more from him. So my Bhakwaskar goes to somebody off syllabus who DJ didn't offer me, but I picked him anyway.
Yeah, you can make your own nominations. And guys, please feel free to make nominations in the comments as well. If you're missing a Rahul or a Yadav, please do let us know.
I think we're generally getting agreement. We're hearing best Yadav Kuldeep, Shambhalik Yadav Lalit.
Okay.
So pretty much agreement so far.
Okay, awesome. Next one is an award we've done for many years now, actually. He's an award winner himself, but this is a lifetime achievement award. So I think it comes back every year. So the Basil Thampi Bhakwaskar Award of the Year. Basil Thampi himself played and took 3 wickets in one match, by the way. So maybe we should
3
nominate him for
wickets
this.
in one match, 5 wickets in his whole season.
Yeah. So maybe we should nominate him for this. He's like 56th on the players list for wickets. I think he's just above Aiden Markram and Ayush Badoni. But my personal award for this, my nomination for this is Josh Hazelwood, because Jush Baba went for a lot of runs for RCB. 64 runs in 4 overs, no?
Can I just say that Basil Thampi picked 5 wickets in however many matches he played, is 64th on the list, but he still took more wickets than Lalit Yadav, who got to bowl in many, many matches. So I just want to put that out.
So he
we've
is
got-
the Bakwaskar Yadav then, yeah, fair enough.
So I mean, Basil Thampi award has to go to Basil Thampi, right? Like there's just no doubt. He's still playing. There's no doubt.
No, we've got a nomination for Siraj, by the way, guys. Economy
Yeah.
11.
Siraj was horrible this season.
Wasn't he retained this season also? He was a
Yeah,
retention
he
for
was
RCB.
retained.
So
Oh my god! Imagine
they let
retained
Yuzi
over-
go, who won the purple cap.
They
and they
let
retained
they
Siraj.
had to pay like big money for Harshal and Hasranga, and they retained Siraj. That was horrible.
I would like to throw one more name in the hat because the Basil Thampi award is bowling. So if you take this person's batting away, economy rate of 10.68, worse than Siraj, who was like 10.1.
Let me guess.
Who?
Daniel Sams.
No, actually, I don't know what
Marcus,
Sams
is it Marcus Stoinis?
It is not. All right, now I'm going to make you guys guess. Let's see how good you are. If anybody in the comments wants to guess, somebody who's a big name who you'd expect more from. Daniel Sam's economy was 8.8 across the season, 10.86 in the season. Maybe this is tough to guess because this person only played 5 matches, came late and left early.
Mitch Marsh.
Varun, it's from your least favorite franchise in the season.
Oh,
Very-
Pat Cummins.
Patrick Cummins, captain of Australia, had a horrendous season with the ball, other than maybe the one match. 7 wickets at an economy rate of 10.68. So we got some guesses in the chat. Jadeja, Bumrah, O'Dean Smith, all good guesses, but Pat Cummins was the guy. So that's my number.
Yeah, unlucky. So have we got consensus on whether it's Josh Hazelwood, Pat Cummins, Siraj, or Basil Thampi himself that wins the Basil Thampi Award, Bhakwaskar Award this season?
I vote for Siraj.
Yeah, just because of the retention, I'll give it to you.
I think Siraj wins the Basil Thampi Award. So the first non-Basil Thampi winner of the Basil Thampi
Thampi
Award.
That's great.
Yeah, and I remember Josh just went after Basil Thampi this season as well. So I remember Thampi was thumped. Anyway, moving on. Yellow Cap, guys. Yellow Cap Award, which is the opposite of the Orange Cap Award. So the Yellow Cap Bhakwaskar Award. And I think this was specially directed at me, which is, I don't think there's any debate about this, is there? Venki Iyer?
You picked him as your pick to make the most runs in the season. and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah. I don't think that are there any other contenders for the yellow? I mean, it's pretty obvious why we've called it the yellow cap. We could have called it the golden cap or the dark brown cap for the
Yeah,
yellow.
Williamson.
Williamson is a great
We got a comment from Amit.
So
Williamson.
Venki Iyer, 182 runs, strike rate of 107.69, which was absolutely horrendous. Tied, actually, incidentally, tied on number of runs with Akshar Patel. But Akshar Patel batted much fewer times, so he made 45. His average was 45. Kane Williamson, 216 runs, average of 19.64, and a strike rate of 93.5.
Okay, I think Iyer may
Wow.
actually escape winning the
Iyer
yellow
gets
cap.
the silver Bakwaskar medal, but the gold has to go to Williamson.
So the golden third award, sorry, the yellow cap award goes to Kane Williamson. Very good. Very good.
Wow. That was quality.
Yeah,
Right.
Nice
and
job, guys.
also a great example of us as Indian fans rushing to put somebody into the playing 11 of India after he has played 7 matches last season and probably did well in 5 out of 7 matches. Let's be realistic, or 7 or 8 matches. So 5 good performances has got him in the Indian team. Started knocking talk about Hardik Pandya out of the team. And this year, this guy can't even score at barely scoring at 100 strike rate, barely 150, 180 runs. Just a good lesson, right? There is time. You need to perform. You can't be picked on the basis of 5 matches.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
let's keep going.
So the blue cap award. I don't know why this was a blue cap award, but
The
it's a
opposite
blue
of
cap.
purple. That's the
How
closest.
is
I mean, if
blue
yellow
the
is to
opposite of
orange,
purple?
as blue is to purple, basically, is what we thought.
But yellow's like because it's shade. That's why it's like yellow. But okay,
And
blue
blue is Mumbai Indians, which is also shit. So.
How many, how
we
many
just like
listeners
lost
are we gonna
half of our
lose?
listeners.
Yeah, not just because of that comment. This
I-
whole segment, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway.
No, so I nominate Jaddu for the blue cap award just because he was so horrific this season. He just had the worst season ever. He came in great form as well. I think he only picked 5 wickets, right, with the ball. So clearly Pat Cummins is another option for this blue cap award. Or is the blue cap award also the Basil Thampi award in disguise?
No, it's just the blue cap award. But yeah, I would give it to Jaddu too. Like no runs, drop catches, no wickets, gave up captaincy, and then just disappeared
I
mid-season.
had a,
Like it's just a terrible. It was just like so terrible. Like I don't know if he faked the injury. I don't know if somebody kicked him and he got injured. I don't know if he genuinely got injured, but it was a horrendous time for him.
So there's only one player who bowled more overs than Jadeja and took less wickets, and that's Shahbaz Ahmed from RCB. Which again, the fact that if you told me earlier he played 16 matches, I wouldn't have believed you.
No, he played. He bowled.
But every
quite well.
match
he
for
scored
RCB.
runs also.
Yeah, but
scored runs for them.
bowled 35 overs. Jadeja bowled 33. I would like to throw one more name. So Varun Chakravarti is up there. Bowled 39 overs, only 6 wickets, economy of 8.5. So a lot of people chiming in with Varun. Akshar Patel bowled 43 overs and only took 6 wickets. So his role
also
was
retained.
his role was economy.
Someone
Retained
is
ahead
calling Varun Chakravarti the mystery spinner. Like
Mystery, not
workman.
mystery.
Mystery, not mystery. Pretty funny.
My name I'd like to throw in the hat only because there is no all-rounder Bhakwaskar, but I would throw in Kyron Pollard. I think.
Polikaka is going to be nominated for other awards.
Okay, we already have
Down.
him. Never mind then.
Down the
Let's
list.
keep
But yeah,
going.
in fact, we
So
can
Jaddu.
come to that. We can come to that pretty quickly because we can go straight to the Purani Soch Award, which is the nominees are CSK as a team for Purani Soch, Polikaka for being retained and then doing nothing the whole time, or DK, who's been playing for the last, I don't know, 25 years, it seems like, and still seems to be getting better with every season. So, guys, Purani Soch Award. Who are we giving the Purani Soch Award to?
Definitely Polikaka, like no doubt about that. CSK just won last year and DK did really well. So we give them a little bit of leeway on this one. But yeah, Pollard for just showing up, doing the same thing, being retained, getting no
he
runs.
retired from international cricket
In
halfway
the
through
middle
the
of the
IPL also.
tournament. He stopped playing midway through the tournament. It's just hilarious, yeah.
A lot of people are
Then
saying DK, but let's remember this. These are the Bakwaskar
these
awards.
are
Right?
the
These are
Bhakwaskar award.
satire
Yeah.
award. DK was actually
DK
brilliant
was
this season, so
fantastic.
would give him a
It's just
real.
funny that he's been playing for that long, right?
Yes, agreed.
That's funny. But the Nai Soch Award, which is the opposite of the Purani Soch Award, Varun, I think you had the nomination for this, which was Ashwin retiring himself out. That's a pretty weird moment, right?
Yeah, I thought it was great actually. So this is the Bakwaskar award that actually is not a Bakwaskar award in some sense because it just showed you that strategy element of T20 cricket, right? So I nominated him because actually it was nice Soch. However, it was also like it also shows you how messed up Rajasthan's middle order is. That Ashwin is just batting in every position from 3 to 8, probably. Like he's coming in to shield Padikal and Riyan Parag and then getting retired out so that same Riyan Parag can bat, right? So it's just ridiculous all around. But well done for showing a strategic retired out.
I think the worst part about all that is he made a 50 against Delhi and basically knocked us out of the tournament. Like a batting at 3.
Yeah, exactly. But nice Soch because even Faf said at one point that he was on 80 or 90 and he was like, I'm thinking of retiring out to get DK in. Why not, man? Like, why not? That's a great idea.
Yeah, but this is a good Nai Soch, man. What is a
Yeah.
Bakwaskar Nai Soch Award? What is a Nai Soch which went badly wrong? Like Ashwin when he promoted himself and then got 3 ducks in a row.
Yeah, I would probably say the retentions, man. Like a lot of people have
All the
mentioned
retentions are useless.
Varun Chakravarti, Siraj, Akshar Patel. Like I would say those are probably the nice Soch Bakwaskar awards.
I mean, on paper, how do you look back and say retaining Akshar over a Kagiso Rabada or a Shreyas Iyer was the right move? It sounds ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Maybe the Nai Soch Award goes to Shreyas Iyer for bringing Nai Soch to KKR and leading them to yet another non-qualification for the playoffs, which was great. Anyway, after the Nai Soch Award and the Purani Soch Award, of course, we have to come to the Pehla Nasha Award. Varun, do you want to explain this one to the listeners since this is your Bhakwaskar Award invention? The Pehla Nasha
Yeah, it's
Bhakwaskar?
like it's the first time you fall in love, the first time you get out on duck off the first ball, and that when that happens 3 times, the Pehla Nasha award goes to Virat Kohli. Like I don't know what are you smoking, man. Like first ball duck 3 times is unbelievable. So yeah, Pehla Nasha, Pehla Khuma. I don't know what Khuma means, but
I think
I
it's
mean,
Kumar.
did Bhuvaneshwar Kumar get him out because that would have been a beautiful.
No,
I
I'm
thought you were
telling
talking
you,
about Kumar. I thought you were talking about Kumar Sanu.
No,
Kumar.
like Pehla Nasha, Pehla Kumar.
He's been batting against Anushka, who's been bowling like Julan. That's the issue.
That's such a horrible.
Anyway,
Actually,
okay,
great-
the next. Sorry,
Great
go on.
comment before we wrap the retentions. We said Abdul Samad was retained by the Sunrise.
Yeah, this leads
We're coming
very
to
well.
the Sunrisers.
Yeah,
We're coming to the
He
Sunrisers.
played 2 matches, made 4 runs in the whole tournament. Like, it's insane when you think about that. Just insane.
We're coming to the Sunrisers, which I think have got. Either we should call this Bakwaskar Award the We Told You So Award when the Sunrisers finish 8th, or we should call it
And
the Down and Out Award by the Sunrisers. I bet you're feeling great about your apology now.
I was just like, I made a bloody apology on the show and all. Like, they won 5 in a row. I got scared. I messaged all my friends from Hyderabad saying, hey, well done, man, and all. And then ended up
Let's
like
have
one
some
of the
peace biryani,
worst-
bro.
Ended up like one of the worst teams, okay? Like,
So they
it was-
lost.
it was-
They lost their first 2. So Varun and I were very excited about our predictions in their board. Then they won 5 in a row. Varun
Then
issues
we
the
apo-
apology on the air. Then they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7.
6 of the next 7. 5 in a row again. 5 wins in a row, then 5 losses in a row. That's got to be the most up and down. I don't know if any Sunrisers fans are listening to us do this live, but that is a great emotional roller coaster, let's call it.
Yeah. Okay, so I can see some CSK fans in the comments. They're not going to be happy about the next set of awards. So we've got the Thank You for Participating Award, which has been given to the CSK and the Mumbai Indians for finishing. Well, CSK finished 9th, and Mumbai somehow managed to finish below them with an equal number of wins. So, yeah, thanks for coming. See you later. Unfortunate. But there was also, Varun, the there were two more awards that he suggested. So, do you want to tell us about the Jugal Hansraj Bakwaskar Award, which went to
Yeah.
Praveen Amrik? So, why?
Yeah, so Jugal Hansraj is known for only one thing, right? He's known for that song, which is "Ghar se nikalte hi, kuch dur chalte hi." And so when I thought of that song, I just thought of Praveen Amrif because he kind of was pushed out of his house, right, and kicked onto the field, took a few steps, didn't really know what he was saying, was asked
And
to
got
turn
back.
around and sent back. So, yeah, kuch dur chalte hi. That's it.
Like, why didn't Pant walk out himself? Why did he send Amri onto the field? It makes no sense.
And Watson standing there watching this whole thing. After Amre is gone, he comes and says he shouldn't have gone. Like, you could have stopped him, man. Like, why are you taking the moral high ground now?
Sorry,
It's like, no, it's like Praveen Amre is Johnny Lever or Rajpal Yadav or something. It's like, he just had to walk out. And Ponting was stuck in quarantine, like throwing the bottle and remotes. It was so ridiculous.
The whole thing was insane when he said that.
Okay, we've got like 4 minutes left, so we need to do the last 2 awards and we need to do a fantasy update and we need to finish the show also. So, guys, Badla Award. Who gets it? Does Kuldeep Yadav take it or does David Warner take it? Ashwin.
Or does David Miller take it?
David Miller. वो भी हो सकता है.
No,
Didn't
but
get
it's
it.
against. But it's against
Oh,
your own
against-
team.
It
Against
has
your
to
team.
be
Maybe
against-
Karthik hit the winning runs against KKR, didn't he?
Yeah.
He hit the winning
Everyone
runs
has done it
and
against
and
Everyone
KKR.
did it against KKR.
Except
Yeah, and,
Warner, of course.
Che-
Warner got it against
Chahal also.
92 against.
I give the Badla award to Kuldeep Yadav for me. Just
stupid.
that
He got
picture of him in
Shreyas,
KKR, in the KKR uniform, in the jersey, like crying down and out from the worst, and then the season he had. Just for me, the comeback Badla award definitely goes to Kuldeep Yadav.
So for me, the Bhakwaskar award definitely goes to David Warner. I mean, after the shit that he took from Sunrisers last year, for him to come out and thrash them for 90, I thought that was a powerful message. Varun, so and do you have a different winner? Because these awards are free. We can give any number.
Yeah, correct.
You don't have to give one.
for the sake of time, I'm going to stick to Kuldeep. I think the Badla award was his, man. Great.
Okay, so-
it was too good.
Kulu takes the Badla Bakwaskar. And that is the end of the Bakwaskar. This has been a really fun kind of segment. But even more fun than that. And should we let Varun do this? I think, Varun, you should do the fantasy update since I think you brought up the rear. So go for it, buddy. Have we stopped checking fantasy? Do you no longer have access? Have they banned you for being
I
so
don't-
bad?
I don't think he has it open,
No.
so I'll do the Edison's Legends fan update really quick.
Okay.
Top 3 teams who did an unbelievable job. By the way, none of us did great, but in third place was a team called Bodacious Bursting Geezers, who was near the top for the last kind of 3 weeks or so. 27,122 points. So third place in the Edison's Legends League. Congratulations. Second place, Wicked Sensation, who is right at the top for most of the tournament, but came second to an unbelievable team called Pocket Dynamites, who finished first. I looked into this.
Who
They
had
said
a triple booster in the last game?
4 boosters in the last 4 games, from what I could tell.
Insane.
Unlimited subs, then 3x vice captain or whatever, the 2x all players. So in the qualifier, Joss Butler, they got 2x off the captain, so 4x points for Butler, 848 points just for Joss, and then 3x in the final game went to Hardik Pandya. So unbelievable. So congratulations to them. I have to scroll pretty far down to figure out what we did. DJ, for the 3 of us, you came first in 23rd place. Varun, you came second in 34th, and I had a horrendous finish to the season where I ended in 43rd. So we were all pretty bad, but that's how it wrapped up. Congratulations to our winners.
Yeah, well done, guys. We've got some comments about how we've forgotten about PBKS, but we should acknowledge they finished 6th continuously for the last 3 years.
But yeah, they just keep finishing 6th. So you just
They should get a Bhakwaskar consistently crap award. Maybe we come up with a
Yeah,
word.
but actually they've improved because 6 out of 8 is much worse than
What?
6 out of 10.
That's true. I was going to say my fun
So
fact for
they've
Mumbai
improved
Indians.
a lot.
My fun fact for Mumbai Indians fans is Delhi has come bottom of the table many times, but has never come 10th.
10. I was going to say the same thing.
But and without the
Unfortunately,
new games, Delhi would
I
have
think
qualified also.
I think we did come 9th.
We
So,
came ninth
yeah,
in the year that we had 9 teams for sure.
10 teams.
We really are skipping the bottom of the barrel, guys. But it has been a pleasure covering the IPL with you gentlemen through COVID, heat strokes, solo episodes, 10 weeks of 74 games. It has been absolutely brilliant. And thank each and every one of you for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please click like and subscribe now, because then you'll get notifications whenever we go live and whenever we upload a new episode. For some reason, our rating on Spotify seems to have dropped to 4.8. So we need you guys to rate us 5 stars so it goes back up to 4.9 at least. I mean, 4.8 is unacceptable for the world's greatest cricket podcast. It is just not on. Do the same on Apple, write us a review, and we will be back next week. I think the India South Africa T20s kick off next week, if I'm not wrong.
I can't keep
So
up with timing. I need
I
a
think
break for a
9th,
couple.
9th June. The
9th of
week
June.
after.
So yeah, so we'll be back to cover those. And Sammy Vinny says best podcast ever. So on that note, this is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, and we will see you next week. Thank you, gentlemen.